Great news! After months of job searching, you've been hired as the medic on a steampunk airship named the Arms of the Kraken. You're all set for your first day of work, but what are those? I'm kidding, but seriously, the only boots you have are Payless's interpretation of English writing boots? Oh no, whatever will the crew think of me? They'll think you look dumb and make fun of you for the cheapskate you are. Well, that was rather uncalled for. Also, I prefer the term thrifty. Then what you need is this stylish pair of DIY steampunk boots. Wow, thanks! Now you're ready to make a great first impression. Forgot my keys and the mask. Okay, thanks, bye! To start off, you'll need a pair of black boots. You can do what I did and wait 6 years until your boots are rickety enough to justify repurposing them, or you could just go to a thrift store, it's your call. Or if you're super rich, you could buy a brand spanking new pair from your local shoe shop. You'll also need 2-part epoxy and some matches to make rivets, which, if you have a vivid imagination, sounds way more dangerous than it actually is. In fact, if you're watching your screen right now, you can see that I'm using a match to mix the 2-part epoxy, then to apply dots the approximate size and shape of mini M&Ms along the seams and straps of the boot. Oh, I got epoxy on my thumb. After a thorough hand washing and equipping myself with new gloves, I got back to it. By the way, epoxy is not great for your skin, hence the hand washing and gloves. It's also not great for your lungs, so be sure to only use it when you're in a well-ventilated area like the great outdoors. Oh, if you're wondering what I'm using for my paint palette, it's the cat bowl that an opossum pulverized last night. Wait, what on earth? Is that like brown? That looks brown to me. Okay, where does it say the color? There it is. Okay. Oxide black. Noir oxide. So, okay, it's black. Okay, so I got some actual black paint, or at least I think it is. I mean, it says the same thing, black, noir. Despite the nefarious intentions of the duplicitous paint, I was able to find some use for the amount that I had already squeezed out. As I mentioned before, this is a fairly old pair of boots, and there are a few very old and janky looking spots, so I went over those spots with the black, not black paint, hoping that an extra layer might protect it from the elements. Then I went over that with the trustworthy black paint and finished riveting. By the way, I'm painting the rivets so that when I do the next part, they actually look like metal and not like glass mini M&Ms, if that makes sense. Hey, remember when I put on gloves so that I wouldn't get epoxy on my skin? This is just me being extra, putting rivets where you can't even see them. I won't make you watch it. I know it's not very riveting. I'm sorry. To make it look kind of like old sheets of metal, I'm going to buff it with copper metallic wax paint. I'm using the brand Allure, which I like because it's more aqueous than a lot of the other ones, but I'm fairly sure that they don't make it anymore, or at least not the metallic colors, so I'll have to find another brand when I'm out of this bottle. Oh geez, I think I put a little bit too much here. It's looking a little bit polished for my taste, so I'm gonna get some black paint and just go right back over it. I'm using fabric or puffy paint because it's less concentrated than acrylic paint, so it'll just add a dark tint rather than repainting the entire thing black. You can also just add some water to acrylic paint, but as we've recently learned, the only black acrylic paint that I have is not in fact black, so I'm using this. I feel like I'm in a makeup tutorial right now. I'm just like, okay, let's blend it right here. Make sure to get all of that in there. Or I don't know what makeup tutorials say, but I know they talk about blending a lot, right? They like blend the things that are in the makeup, whatever. So the fantastic thing about metallic wax paint is that it really highlights your mistakes. I do not know how this happened because all of the other ones, wait, where is it? Okay, right here. All of these ones are, more or less good circle-y things. And then this one gravity just decided to be right in this point and just nowhere else, I guess. I don't really know. I'm using a different color. Oh my gosh, it is totally... How did this happen? I just opened this. It's been closed for like centuries. Oh geez. Okay. Well. Okay, apparently even saliva can't save this. Oh wait, or can it? Oh my gosh. I did it. So, as I was saying, I'm using a different color for the straps because I want it to look cool. So it's a nice contrast. So yeah, I'd call that a success. few snags here and there, but moral of the story, make sure that your paint is actually secure when you're done with it. Otherwise, you're going to have to resort to using your liquid DNA to make it work. As we all know, the Victorians love them some fancy pants lace, so we're going to take that lace, which I got at a garage sale, and this lace, which I just kind of showed up one day, and we're going to layer them and then stick that on top of the boot. I'm sewing this because when I tried hot glue, it squeezed through the lace and then melted the boot, and it was a whole cattywampus. Oh, also, I had just gotten these new colorful sewing pins, which I've never had before, and I was really excited to use them, even if it meant pinning lace. Okay, can we just appreciate how long it took me to realize that this freeloader was sucking my blood and taking advantage of the fruits of my erythropoietin's labor, which is what tells your bones to make red blood cells, otherwise known as erythrocytes. But seriously, 24 seconds. I timed it. That's how long. Plus, a needle and thread is just so portable. You can sew outside or inside or upside down or whilst listening to an audiobook so that you make weird faces on the hyperlapse. Anyway, then I sewed the lace to the boot, lining up the top of the white lace with the top of the boot, then folding over the black lace to the inside. Now grab some fake gears from your local craft store and find some thread that roughly matches. I'm sewing this, well, partly because the lace just got me in that mood, but also I used epoxy the first time and the edges are starting to come up, so if you use adhesive, maybe put some cardstock on the inside for structure to minimize the strain on the glue. Now pick the gears you want and strewn the rest aesthetically about in the corner of your shot. Speaking of, how do you feel about unnecessary yet aesthetically pleasing gears and other such accoutrements? Some people think the more the merrier, but others think that if it doesn't have a clear purpose, then it looks tacky. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I like the idea of creating the aesthetic and then using that as a guideline for practicality, because in the literature, what am I, a stuck-up academic? But like in the broader sense, so steampunk has become a very visual genre, so things like gears, goggles, and top hats have become hallmarks that authors can use for creative world building. Take goggles, for instance. Why does everyone have cool-looking goggles? Is it just because it gets a tad windy up in ye old dirigibles? Will the sun, even without looking at it, blind you without the protective cover of the ethosphere? Or is there a lethal gas that requires— oh no, I guess those are gas masks, not goggles, but you get the point. Anyway, I think it's interesting to hear what other people think, so let me know your steampunk aesthetic philosophy, or if you don't have one, feel free to critique mine. Oh, also, I always thought that it would be fun if there was a book where gear adornment was the lower class's snarky response to the higher class's monopoly of fashion, because if you look at the patterns of the time period, clothes for the wealthy had all sorts of curves and darts and other tailoring tricks to achieve the current fashionable shape, whereas working class clothes were focused on utility and necessity, like, okay, this square will be the bodice, and this rectangle will be the sleeve, and you know what, just figure it out. And then maybe there's a cultural phenomenon where the lower classes start sewing broken gears and other ineffectual sweepings from their factory jobs onto their clothes in an effort to achieve social mobility. Okay, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but I'm gonna say that's what's going on with this boot. Oh wait, but I also have lace on it. Well, I guess my character will just be a spineless schmuck pandering to both wealth classes just enough to stay in favor. Oh, I guess that makes me a politician. I'm actually going to split this video into two parts because it's getting a little long, because apparently I talk way too much. That's right, grade school teachers, I finally came out of my shell. But I know the craft videos usually have a grand reveal at the end, and it's really unsatisfying when they don't. So in an effort to fill that gaping hole in your heart, here's a video of my cat desperately trying to make friends with one of the neighborhood cats through the bay window.